Yo, what up? It's Thursday night. It's 9:30 somewhere. 9:30 on the East Coast. 6:30 out west. We decided to come on tonight just to have a conversation or three about some things that are on our minds. I am joined tonight by my illustrious co-host Ebony Jordan, and of course the professional, the doctor, the bishop, James Hassel. And y'all know who I am. So listen, we're back.
Mic's not hooked up, so I'm stunting right now.
You're stunting without the mic. I mean, it happens, but it sounds good. So no problems, no issues. That's a good stunt. A lot of people stunt. A lot of people in their studios with the fake microphone, but they don't have anything else. So you're not the only one. You're not the only one. At least we know your studio is real.
It is.
Just throwing that out there. We know your studio.
My backdrop is my kitchen, so.
But you cook, see, so you're not stunting. You actually cook.
I haven't in a very long time, but I did make some chocolate chip cookie dough the other day because I was craving cookies. And it didn't come out the way I wanted it to, but it's not bad.
Your cookies didn't come out?
Not the way I wanted them to. They weren't as sweet as they should have been.
Good, because the last time I was out there, I asked for something. You're like, I ain't baking nothing. Okay.
Hold up, though. But when you were here and you asked for cookies.
Oh, my God. Yeah. Oh, my God. Yo, I ate those cookies before I got to the airport. I was supposed to take them home, but I ate them before I got to the airport. Those cookies were bomb. I will give you that. I will.
You're welcome.
You're one heck of a baker. I will give you that.
You made them by scratch? You made them from scratch?
I don't know how to cook boxes. I only make things from scratch.
So I posted this on Spill this morning. I said Spill is like cookies from scratch, and Threads is like old Twinkies, from because you got all your old friends from all your old social medias. It's like the Spill is crazy.
Well, so let's talk about these new social media networks that popped up this week. So we have the quote unquote the Black Twitter, which is Spill. And then, of course, we have Threads, which Threads is a little problematic. I'm going to explain, in my opinion, I'm going to explain why a little bit later. But so I'm on Spill. I joined Spill. I think you sent me the invite, come to think about it, Has. And Spill is cool. It looks, aesthetically, it doesn't look that great, but it's cool. Threads it's functional. Threads is very professional. Threads is very professional grade so far. Now, Spill was invented or programmed by a couple of Black employees who left Twitter. And of course, they said it was supposed to be, about our community and a place for marginalized people to come and not feel insulted or offended. They can come and have a great time and leave all the drama of Twitter over in Twitterland. But I don't know because, as we do at times, we.
But it's still new. So It's nice while it's nice, but.
It's getting unnice.
Exclusively BIPOC place. So there will be some. I know y'all don't like when I use terms for these people, but there will be some White Walkers that show up at some point or another. And hopefully they don't homogenize, I guess is the word I'm looking for.
Homogenize. They're going to homogenize.
They're going to homogenize the place. Nobody wants that. Not really.
Now, with Threads, Threads is...
They're going to gentrify Spill.
Right, it's going to be gentrified. Right,
they're going to get one of them. It's probably going to be Threads because that's already...
Well, I mean Threads...
We're literally trading one billionaire for another. Like, it's not... You know what I mean? Like, it's not... Right. It's the same. So...
Dr. Chuck!
So, I have friends. I have real friends, and they have real doctorates. So Dr. Hassel, even though he just has Hassel up there, he has an earned doctorate, unlike some of you Negroes who go from high school to honorary and still use doctorate, and they get up and preach on Sunday and demand people call you Dr. So-and-so. And then I have Dr. Bowman who has an earned doctorate also. They're the smart guys, and I'm the guy that's
Chuck's my hero.
I'm just a guy that went to high school.
Ever.
I'm just a guy
Black
that went to
people
high
start
school.
lying and they start laughing.
No, it's probably one of the smartest people I know, high school or otherwise.
His family calls him Rain Man.
No, whatever. Whatever. They call me Rain Man. Oh, wait, that's a different song. So, Charles, thank you. So we're talking about Threads and Spill, the two new social media sites that popped up this week. With Threads, of course, being owned by Meta, and how Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk are already fighting. They're having their cage fight.
I've been interestingly amused by their banter back and forth in their threads to each other, and I'm just like, y'all are grown men, and y'all, but I guess when you have that kind of money, that's what you feel like you can do and say. Because I was like,
but they're both making money, and that's really what it's like. Let's play fight so we can make another 10 billion. And and here we are. I was like, I'm not going on Threads, and then I get on Spill. Kyra invited me to Spill, and then her next post was, "Oh my God, Threads is awesome." I'm like, these kids.
So now with Threads is interesting though, because it literally takes all the people that you follow you on IG, and it makes you kind of merge that account over to Threads. And if you decide to disable Threads, well, you disable your IG account at the same time.
You can't erase the data without affecting your IG account.
Correct.
You can disable it and keep your IG account. But if you want to erase the data, because I believe both social media are connected to like blockchain.
A blockchain? Okay. All right. Because I thought that was really interesting. It was like, if you get, they put out the disclaimer and everybody was like, wait a second. Well, it's too late because we already signed up and made our accounts private and all that stuff. Well, guess what? Now you erase it. You're kind of got to start over. Yeah. Pretty much start over.
But I mean, you might as well do it only because you get to keep your screen name if that's what you want to do.
Right.
Because mine is the same on everything. I have the same name on every platform.
So my first post on Thread was, how do you make money on this thing?
You think they're gonna tell you?
Giving up no
I'm
money,
too
but
old. I'm too old to be playing down.
Elon just announced that blue check people, if you get retweets and all that other good stuff, you can earn money. There's a creator fund now for Twitter, which I find very odd because this man owes AWS so much money, which is why we're limited to 700 tweets a day. So it's like,
is that what it is?
Yes, that's what it was. I don't know. I'm not on it that much. And when I do go on it, I'm literally there for like the news, and I may say one or two goofy things or say something to one of those others, and then I leave.
The other thing on Spill is you only get 90 characters.
Oh, that's a programming problem.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
So you got to be succinct.
Good, because you can have 1 million now on Twitter. One tweet is a book, and that's too much information. I don't need all that. I'm not reading all that.
So
it's called Spill, not Pour.
So I guess one of the questions is, with Threads, can you actually make a thread on Thread like you would on Twitter? So there's how 1 or 2, 2 or 2.
Yeah, you can.
Well, let's see.
I'll have to check it out. I'll have to dig into it.
You can. I saw it today, but I'm not good. I'm not that good on Twitter. I think I have 72 followers on Twitter.
I mean, Twitter used to be great for news and following Black creatives and Black news people and Black political heads. They were really good. Like I love Michael Harriet. That's my dude right there, yo. He's a beast.
He's so knowledgeable, and he gives great threads on Black history. I read every single one of them.
His threads are killers. Sometimes I read his thread, and it's some nonsensical stuff in there, and then at the end he'll tell you, "Oh yeah, by the way, I'm talking about boom, 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 boom," and he
brings
just
it all together.
Good gracious.
Yeah, I'm not smart like that, so I need like I follow like Martin Lawrence.
Why? It's not him.
No, and I'm serious. Like some of the language, some of the thoughts, from this generation, they spend their lives. I talk about the Bible like that. I don't think I'm a one horse, a one pony show, but some of these guys have some prolific information that they give, man, and you just wonder how do they prepare themselves for that. I just admire it. That's why I follow Martin Lawrence. I just kill my mama bird.
I'm not messing with you with that. I'm not messing with you with that. You have problems. You have so many problems. Since I have both doctors up here, let me ask this question before we get to the other stuff. So last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, the Supreme Court decided to kind of shoot down.
Act crazy.
Yeah, they went nuts. But they basically said affirmative action was against the law, against the Constitution, because Harvard and Yale were using race-based preferences. Harvard and University of North Carolina had some race-based preferences that they were using for admittance. And what's interesting is this case was built on an Asian person who basically fought this case because they felt that Asians were being left out because they were smarter, but they couldn't get into these colleges because someone that was let in by affirmative action, meaning that we're Asian, we're smarter than these Black people, but why are they admitted and we're not? And to me, it's problematic that a lot of people that are non-Black and even some Blacks think that affirmative action was about allowing someone that was not qualified in spaces that they shouldn't have been.
Say it a little bit louder. A little bit louder, because people be tripping.
Yeah, I mean, they really think that affirmative action is about non-qualified people being allowed in spaces they shouldn't be in. And that's not the case.
And ignoring the systemic racism that tilts, that puts its thumb on the scale for its own and didn't deal with legacy admittance.
Correct.
Those are the ones that they need to be talking to, because those are the ones with the grades that are lower than yours. Those are the ones
behind all of it is that you actually have to believe or appreciate that systematic racism exists, and that it is something that one class benefits from versus another. And unfortunately, too many of the justices on the Supreme Court have ideologies that they don't believe in.
Who was the biggest beneficiary of the civil rights movement out of every demographic and affirmative action?
White women.
Exactly. So, but when you think about all the other stuff that they're doing, this kind of serves a dual purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're trying to run us back to the 50s, right? So let's stop letting these women folk get educated. So it's all a part of their plan, and we have the focus on the wrong thing. But they want us to be outraged. They want us to be upset, and they want us to stop paying attention to white women. But guess what, sis? We on your head. I'm not letting it go. I'm never letting it go. Anyone that I will tell you, if you are a white woman, I will tell you, you're doing this to yourself. You're not hurting me. You're hurting you.
All right. Go ahead, Ash.
I was saying that Daniel Patrick Moynihan was a senator in New York during the early 70s, and he had a doctrine of it was basically a doctrine that says you don't have to fight what happened in 68 with the Civil Rights Bill. You just have to neglect to enforce it, and you'll go backwards. And so this benign neglect, I believe, is the name of the doctrine. Was kind of the first attack against the civil rights and the advances that were made during the 60s. And then once everyone began to forget, what was put in place, then we find ourselves here where they're reversing everything, including stuff that may, from my perspective, needed to have been reversed. And I think we should just all move to Africa.
What you talking about? Wait, hold on, back up. What you talking about need to be reversed? What's that?
I think that there are many laws and amendments that really at its prima facie, at the very base level, are evil.
Okay.
And hidden in a nice little neat bun, they've wrapped a woman's right to her body in that horrible doctrine of killing babies as a birth control. It's a woman's right to her body. I cannot legislate your morality, but that's evil. It's your body. You do what you want, but I don't have to give you permission or forbid you.
But that's the thing. And when this subject comes up, because of how things are reported and how things are spoken of, you only get one view of it. Do women, because they just don't want to terminate pregnancies? Yes. Does it happen often? Also, yes. But you know what else happens very often? Babies dying in the womb. That happens often. You know what else happens even more than that? Birth defects, that your baby, once they enter the world, they'll be in pain for the few moments that they're alive. So if you're trying to stop one thing, you have to think of all the things.
Right, but they don't, because it's not about, it's fanaticism, right? They're fanatics about one thing. They get on one thing and they think that's the one thing that's all evil in this country. That all the ills
in the eyes of white evangelicals, there's only two sins: homosexuality and abortion.
Right, correct.
And that slavery, injustice, extortion, every level of injustice, the prison, the prison industrial complex, none of that is immoral, except they want to control your womb and they want to control
my education. Yeah. So as an educator, Dr. Bowman, I need to put your doctor hat on for a minute. As an educator, and you're teaching you're in high school, right? Middle school, high school.
I'm actually central office, so I
cover it all. You cover it all. Down in Atlanta, the blackest city in America. How do you get the attention of young African American men and women and guide them to say, listen, don't worry about affirmative action. You have choices. That you don't have to go to these PWI schools to make it. How do you do that as an educator?
One of the ways that I do that as an educator is simply by my example. As a Morehouse man, a graduate of HBCU, I'm always just the living testament of what an HBCU can do in terms of education. And then when I think about my family, or when I have the opportunity to talk about it, I talk about my wife is a graduate of Dillard University, another HBCU out of New Orleans. Then I start sharing with them not only the legacy of graduates, and I'm not just talking about the famous few, but we start talking about some of the lesser known graduates who graduated contemporarily that they may see on television or maybe behind the scenes doing things that they themselves want to do. And once I share those names, once I share those examples and they see themselves, that gives them the hope to go there. And then after I do that, it becomes more about the conversation of nurture and protection. Where are you going to be protected and nurtured most as for who you are? Now, will you learn everything that there is to learn about yourself at an HBCU? No, but you certainly will have an opportunity to be exposed in a way that you just won't at a PWI. And when
I was overexposed. I was overexposed at Howard.
You were overexposed. You were overexposed. Say more about overexposure. How so?
You said how so? No,
Yeah,
we can't touch that on this.
Yeah, yo, going it.
No, we don't want to know. It's fine.
I got you. But
that's why I went to Marist. I went to PWI after Howard. I just had to get my mind right.
I mean, yeah, it can be much if you're not prepared for it. I mean, I won't deny it. Morehouse definitely overwhelmed me at first, and it took some time acclimating to all of that demand. I mean, I tell my students
in one place.
Absolutely, I tell my students all the time that I graduated. I went to high school where I kind of felt like a whale in a pond, to where I then went to a place where I felt like a guppy in an ocean. In terms of the level of success, I learned about the Black intelligentsia. I learned about things that I just didn't know about, that there were elite groups within our culture that were moving and shaking and making decisions politically, socially, financially for themselves and for the larger community that I wasn't even privy to. And I saw the world in a much more, I honestly want to say, a glorious way in terms of what I could become, what I could aspire to, because it wasn't until I set foot on Morehouse's campus in the Atlanta University Center that I was able to see and envision the kinds of success that I was capable of, regardless of my skin, but also because of my skin color.
Well, even back then,
from the stock that I came from, and the history behind
the 90s
helped me forward.
So even in the 90s in Atlanta was a different place in the early, 92, 93, 94. Atlanta was like this utopia. It was just Blacks doing their thing. And it was, we saw the people building. We saw Black men and Black women ascend to the highest levels of government and business. And it was like, yo, this is crazy. This is where it's happening at. This is what, when's the rest of the country gonna keep up? And then it turned into some other stuff. Now it's about the housewives and about. It's about. It's about.
I mean, it's still that as well. It's just not as in the forefront as it once was. But you also have to remember, technology is not what it was. You know what I mean? Like the world is a little bigger than it was then as well.
That's true. That's true. Because we can.
But I think on that front.
But in Black households, we still need to speak of it as if they are a big deal. I wish I would have made Camille go to one. Honestly, I really do.
The HBCU.
Yes, because I think her college experience would have been a little better.
I think in terms of what Atlanta has become, in some ways, we just stopped minding the store. Case in point, a really great financial example is after the 96 Olympics that were here, what was Centennial Park, or the stadium rather, Centennial Stadium, then became the Braves Stadium.
Right.
But because we stopped minding the store and stopped paying attention to what was going on, we allowed financial interests to come and take the Braves and the stadium out to Cobb County. So now Cobb County, in their school system, is paying their teachers almost a third more than any of the systems in the Atlanta metro area. Not because they're wealthier, but because we let the stadium go out there and take that tax revenue to a smaller district that doesn't really know what to do with it. So they just keep throwing money at their teachers to give them all this money. Now, is the system better? No. Is it, I'll say it, less culturally aware and sensitive? Absolutely, because you're definitely going to be reminded that you're a Black man or a Black woman or a Black child when you're out there in the Cobb County school system, versus when I'm working in Atlanta public schools. That delineation actually is a point of pride and something on which I can stand and boldly talk about in terms of why there is an achievement gap with our students, whether it's talking about how the Hispanic students and ESOL students are actually outperforming our Black students. Why is that? Because our instruction isn't culturally relevant. We have aspired in so many ways to the instructional practices of the dominant culture that we have forgotten how to esteem ourselves in instruction and understand how our children better learn through community, how our cultural norms are not wrong. They're just different, and they need to be embraced in how things are done and how classrooms are constructed and how instruction is delivered. So we were minding the store, and we lost a sense of how we should best teach ourselves.
There was a study at MIT. A mathematics professor had a class of the brightest from all over the world. What is Asian? I think that's the proper way. I was going to say Chinese or Oriental. I think that's what we used to call them.
Don't say the O word. That's
listen. Yeah, I can deal with that. I won't. I grew up calling people.
Correct,
they weren't developmentally challenged. They were retarded when I was growing up. And those words, I mean, language is whatever.
Right, it's language. It's language.
And it evolved because the common word that actually was used in what is now special education was retarded.
Correct.
It lost favor and fashion.
Slow.
And now evolved.
So back to my story.
They just bake cookies all day.
So, and we used to go buy them.
Right, we used to go buy them for $1.
It saved my life. My blood sugar levels was too low in high school. So
Ebony's shaking her head. We're not lying, Ebony. We're not lying. There in our high school, it was known that the special ed class they made cookies, and they had the best cookies all 3 years of high school. You go there for $1, you can get you some cookies in between classes.
Bag of cookies. So
chocolate
I was going to
cookies.
make a more intelligent.
Go ahead, but go ahead. Make your point. It's funny.
I was dragged down into my base nature. So what I was saying was the professor at MIT had the best of the best from around the world, and he noticed that when the students came in on equal ground, Black students and Asian students, that the Asian students would somehow outperform them. And he asked the Black students if he could actually watch them study. And Dr. Bowman, I think this would be very interesting. He says he watched them, and they studied actually 6 hours per week longer than the Asian students, and yet the Asian students outperformed them. And so he says, let me then observe what the Asians are doing that the Black students are not. The Asian students learned in community.
That's always different.
That they always studied in community. The Black student was programmed to that I have to achieve without your help so that I can stand out. And the Asian says, we will outperform everyone because we will teach each other. And I think one of the handicaps of the African American community is that we don't understand community. We are hyper individualized in our.
Okay, but there's a reason for that, though, James. So
we all know that.
But we have to look at the reasoning for it, and then we have to teach our kids right from wrong from that perspective. And a lot of people are still stuck in individualism land, and it's all about me and what I can do and what I got to do and whatever. And as soon as we can get
I just got evicted from individualized land. I got evicted from there.
Good. You shouldn't be there. Nobody should be there. It should be desolate. It should be one of the worst places you've ever seen. It should be confident
in make when you live in the United States.
It should be confident in individualism land.
But it manifests itself even in the church level. That's why I said I just got evicted from there. Because even as a pastor, the individual performance means that you end up competing with people you should be actually cooperating with and collaborating.
Is that why we have 15 churches in one corner and all of them have not you? So I'm saying it's not you, but there are
individualism land. That's the name of it. I think I should put that in the comment. It is the individualism land. I can't comment. Can I type a comment?
Yes, you can type a comment in there. Yes, you can. You should be able to.
I can't. But I'm not gonna say that.
So it is.
We have to teach our kids the other way around, and it's hard to because these kids learn from watching us and listening to us. And when we say stuff like, "I don't have anybody in this world; it's just me," kids internalize that stuff, and that's how they start to think that's what it is. And that was one thing that I made sure I did not do with my child. You cannot do it. You alone can do it, but you cannot do it alone. So you're always going to need help somewhere for something.
What's the coach for Duke that just retired? What's his name? Krzyzewski?
Yeah.
Right. He was coaching the Redeem team. And of course he had some of the greatest players in the world, and they kept losing. And he finally got the right formula. But one of the things that I heard him say to Dwayne Wade and Kobe and LeBron and all, that team that he had pulled together, he says, I'm not asking you to put your ego away. He says, I'm asking you to give me one collective ego. And that, not to say I'm the best, but we are the best. That we're better. I'm not better than them. We are better than them.
Right.
And our work ethic as a community, that we've got to learn how, like Ebony said, that you can do it alone, but you cannot do it alone. We're a part of the whole, and I think that's a huge opportunity in our educational system when we're educating our children, is to teach them community. And I think Farrakhan does an amazing job at that, creating community.
Do is stop relying on teachers to teach our children. I see that a lot. It's not the teacher's job. Your child should be learning the majority of things that they know from you. The teacher should not be the primary source of wisdom in your household. How dare they? And how dare you allow that to happen? Like, no, we're not. I wish I had a little kid. No, I don't. I'm going to have a little kid.
God heard you, Ebony. God heard you.
He heard you. The Lord heard you.
I was blind. I was playing.
She looked up. She looked up and said, "I was playing."
She's like, "Lord, I was tweaking."
I was tripping. You smoked a little bit too much. Okay, you smoked.
That was earlier because I didn't smoke all day, and then I ate, and then I sat down. I was like, "Oh, let me smoke," and then I said, "Let me call Camille," which was the biggest mistake because that child. She's my child. Can't deny it.
Yeah. So Charles, but that statement. So that statement, Ebony, hold on. Let's unpack that. So you both are educators, right? Charles, you working in the school district house, so you're actually an educator from a pastoral bishop standpoint, and also you have daycares opening up. So how do you unpack what she just said about the teacher not being the primary wisdom giver, the knowledge giver?
I think that's something that I've always said. In fact, I decry the constant assault of schools. You need to teach this and you need to teach this. No, I don't need to teach your child manners. I don't need to teach your child civility. And I really shouldn't teach your child how to cooperate. That's your responsibility to teach them as a parent. And we are simply facilitating how those skills are further developed through what we do at school. We are teaching the construct and essential elements of critical thinking so that your children will be able to engage a variety and host of information successfully. But unfortunately, everybody wants to boil everything that we do down to these tacit specific skills that I need to learn. I had a conversation with a friend on social media, and she was saying, I wish they'd have taught me to read, to be able to read and understand taxes when I was in school. I said, well, actually they did. They taught you math and they taught you how to read. And they were like, well, you know what I'm saying? I didn't learn that. I said, no, we weren't supposed to teach you everything worth knowing. We were only supposed to give you the rudiments and the skills through which you would be able to thrive and engage those things successfully. Because you chose not to dig in further with it, that doesn't have anything to do with what it is or whether or not we taught it, because we did teach it and did our due diligence to try to help you be successful with it. Just you had a different approach or appreciation of school. But again, that sometimes goes to the prior point that oftentimes in school, we're looking for ways to stand out instead of building community so that we can grow and thrive together.
Okay, but also they should teach those things, and they should teach basic cooking skills, because as much as, let's just say in the perfect world, we had parents who did that stuff, we would still always have parents who didn't. So we would still need some degree of community style learning in the proper setting. But the issue is the proper setting, because some kids get in classrooms and their brains turn off. So
I think that school definitely needs to, I think, well, one, education, unfortunately, is a victim of the pit and the pendulum. We go way too far to the left and then to the right. We need vocational training in school consistently. It doesn't need to go away because of technology.
Even here in LA, you could go like in your senior year and get your CNA like before you graduated. You could start, if you want to go into cosmetology, you could start those courses. Nobody encourages trades anymore, which is also.
I love what our high school was. We had cosmetology. We also had shop. We also had, you could learn and do any and everything in the high school that we went to. Sometimes you learn things that you shouldn't have learned, but you learn. You had everything, every opportunity to learn and grow in those ways. And it wasn't just a senior year thing. My brother, my cousin, they were taking cosmetology when they were in 10th grade. And, my brother can still, he still do his barber thing if he puts his mind to it. But they got all those skills. I had
stop one damn second, and I'm gonna say this, and I don't care if Adam sees it. Adam wasn't taking cosmetology to do his barber thing. Okay, all right, I said it. I don't care. I don't care if you tag him in it.
I don't know him, but I also know why he was in the cosmetology.
I'm just saying. Did you catch why I said he can do his barber thing if and when he puts his mind to it? I kind of acknowledge that.
As soon as you said it, listen. As soon as you said it, I'm like, stop. Wait a second now. I'm not gonna let that pass.
He was there for the beach, but go ahead.
You see Eason commenting because he knows. Amy knows. He knows. Ain't no way because he knows. He
knows.
Right.
But also I took home ec when I was in junior high.
We all had to remember
and thrived because of it. Because I can. If I need to, I can go.
Spaghetti cannot be competed.
And I know how to sew and put my stuff back together. I know how to make a pillow. I know how to go in and do the basic things in the kitchen. But that also was extended on in my home.
That kind of stuff wasn't an option for me in California.
Really? Wow. Oh yeah, no, we had to do it.
But back then, I was like a feminist, but it would be more comparable to what a white feminist is.
Let me go ahead. No, I'm gonna mute her for a second. The fact that she said back then she's like a feminist, I'm just going to go ahead and mute her. I'm gonna mute her right now. Right. We're gonna mute that for a few moments.
Right now.
Right.
No, wait. She did clean it up. She said I was more of a white feminist.
White feminist. Okay.
Thank you. Before I saw it for what it was.
Okay.
All right. Now, have you read Shanita's book?
Yes, of course I did. We had to interview her. I wasn't going to have a test without doing the homework. What do you think I am?
She's a bomb. So I was going to say back on the educational piece that and I'm a bishop in the Lord's Church, so I'm a little biased on this, but I believe that community is best found in our religious communities, and that children who are active in church and being raised through the Sunday schools and all of the normal rhythm of a healthy church community, they actually outperform other students with public speaking, with their reading skills, with their cognitive abilities, because they're trained properly in a community and they're challenged in settings outside of the normal classrooms. I've seen it over and over that the children we touch on a regular basis with our teaching and with the community that we offer, they outperform any students. The valedictorians have come out of my church for several years, or out of somebody's church, because I believe that Christian, healthy Christian communities produce better citizens. Healthy. I had to use that word.
All right. I mean, yeah. Do they still have Sunday school in churches? Churches still have Sunday school? I know this is a serious question because
we do.
Yeah, I know you do. I know Kingdom does, but I don't. I mean,
I miss it, and I think part of that. It's funny that you say that. Part of the thing that I'm missing and looking for, even as I interview and survey churches now, I'm missing. I don't want the big business where I'm doing a church in multiple locations. I want my church to be a singular community where I come and I bring my children and we participate in community outreach. We can participate in Bible study. And it's one church. I have access to my pastor and all of my community. But like Damon said, Sunday school is rare these days. But that was where, to James's point, that's where I got my training. I know how to be able to speak and introduce myself and hold a conversation in any kind of situation because of what I was doing in church. I know how to read and articulate all kinds of words because they would run us through Bible drills.
We were reading the King James version. We were reading the King James version at 5 and 6 years old. You're
reading Shakespeare. You actually, if you're reading King James, you're reading Shakespeare in fourth grade, third grade, and it can't help but sharpen you. And it doesn't have to be Sunday school. And this is the thing that our church embrace. Sunday is one day. So if I can get the teenagers in the building on a Wednesday, that's their Sunday school. I don't care if they get up for 9 o'clock in the morning. I don't care. If we do it at noon, the point is am I affecting you and bringing you into that rhythm of using your mind and turning off these devices and reading a book?
Who's that ultimately on? It's on the parents.
Absolutely. That's it.
But also, but one thing that we always talk about, how we need to be focused on the kids. I get that. Yes. However, I was a single parent. I did not have days off. There has got to be some type of mechanism because your day is booked up. Like I remember when Camille was in school, I mean, I'm up at 5 o'clock so I can shower and get ready before I go start getting her ready. Then I got to take her to school. And then I'm driving 45 minutes to commute to work. I got to be with people I cannot stand for 8 hours. And then I get to go home. But then I got to decompress because there's more traffic now on the way home. And then I got to help with homework. I got to cook dinner. There's lots of levels and layers to this. So community lifestyles would be great for single parents. But we'd have to overcome that individualism thing and learn how to I don't know, like, because I know I don't want nobody telling my kid what to do, but at the same time, if it's somebody that I trust, you just have, and it's building community, and it's hard because people are so spread out.
Well,
as a classroom teacher, I always felt it was my principal job to build relationship and foster community with my parents and their children, to learn who the children were, what their interests were, what things the parents were like. Okay, some parents were like, okay, you can cover it all, you can talk about it all. Some parents were like, no, this is the limit for you because I'm the mom and I'm the dad. And so understanding those natural boundaries, those necessary boundaries, and how to proceed with things helps you to create that kind of culture, that kind of community. But if you don't have that community, you're just marching them through a factory.
Right.
Oh,
my wife, she's a school teacher, and she sits on several committees, for community and parent engagement and involvement, the PTAs. And one of the challenges is incentivizing parents to become more involved, and like Emily said, involved in their children's education. And that they are co-teachers for the fullness.
I wouldn't have to offer you $20 to want to do something with your kids.
So we have dinner. We cook dinner for you and give you a break from the kids in the afternoon. But my point is that you have to be creative. But the other point is that when they do get them there, the message is that we're co-educators. Educare, that Latin word that means to bring out what is within, it's a partnership.
See, my friend is smart. Can you say that word again? I just want to.
Educare.
Okay, educare.
Chuck is, Dr. Bowman can say it better than me. I call him Chuck on the air, but
you call me Chuck. I'm good.
Listen.
I called you Dave, so I'm forgiven.
Right. So that educare means to bring out what's within, and really, we have been tricked into believing that education is putting something in them, and it's really not a deposit as it is an extraction. Everyone has natural intelligence and genius, and therefore a parent would know better than a teacher what their kid is brilliant at.
Exactly. Where they shine.
And I relish that. I always, even in the professional learning, because we're in the summer educators conference here, and I'm constantly telling the teachers, I was like, the the children already come with gifts and abilities and insights and perspectives. It's our job to learn what those are and draw them out. Yes, we have standards and state expectations of what we need to teach on that grade level, but it's only by coalescing what they already are to help drive what we want them to know that we're able to help them realize that in the best possible way. If I'm just coming trying to pour stuff on you and tell you what you need to know, it's going to run over you like water off a duck's back.
Coach Jackson couldn't make an athlete out of me. He tried. He really tried.
Me too. Ron Jackson, shout out to him.
I wanted to be a basketball player or baseball. I would have even played golf or cricket.
Something with a ball.
So I could get, now, Easton played every sport,
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. He was a football player. Can he play basketball? I remember Damon playing basketball. I can't remember. But he was a beast on the football field. So anyway, so basically this whole thing is to say, listen, parents, educate your children. Be the main person that's educating your children, giving them wisdom and knowledge and cultivating what's inside of them. So when they get to school, all the teacher has to do is bring it out and participate. All right.
I have a challenge for parents. This is something Phil and I used to do. We would choose a place and she would do all the reading on it. So when we went to this place, she would tell me about it. So find a place that you and your kid may want to go visit. Have your child do all the research. If there's a book on this place, give it to them. If there's like information at the library, go with them to get it, just so they can learn about this place and then teach you. So once they understand the concept of teaching, they will start to enjoy it.
That makes sense. That sounds like a good.
I was like a year old. So reading is something that I've always done. And it was honestly something that I expected Camille to love to do as well. And she didn't. So I had to be creative. I had to find better ways to help her fall in love with reading. And that was one of the ways. Also, books to movie. You got to read the book before you go see the movie. That kind of stuff.
So, and one of the points I was thinking, and Easton just asked it in the comments, is when you got people who they don't read, they got no knowledge, they got no wisdom. This is why community is so important. It's because what you lack, someone else that you love and trust has an abundance of, and therefore, but the individualism will make you hide behind your the lacks and the ineptness or whatever deficiency you have, when really in community there is no deficiency. It's called Stone Soup. The whole story of Stone Soup, where the fella came into a town, he had nothing but a pot, and he had some water, and he went and got a rock and put it in there and made a fire and started boiling the rock. They were like, "What are you making?" Stone soup. He said, "Oh, but I need an onion. Can I have an onion?" Oh, he gets from another neighbor a carrot, from another neighbor, a piece of meat. And before he's done, he's got this wonderful soup. He takes the rock out, and I thought it was stone soup. It is. It started, but community built this pot.
Right. And the community matters. The community matters. All right. Well, I appreciate the conversation. Go ahead, Dr. Bowman. I know you have to run to another call, but go ahead.
Yeah, and I just want to say to Damon's point, when it appears that there's no knowledge in the home, again, that's where the community binds around you to help reinforce what you may not have in the home. Because I am not equipped to meet all of the needs that my children may have. Just because I didn't have the experience and perspective doesn't mean that teacher, that friend, that aunt and that uncle can't come alongside and partner with you in community to help nurture and help you thrive in the way that you need to. But that means we also have to be open to community and receiving that. And that too is something that we've lost because we've gotten so indoctrinated into the me, myself, and I community, and that it's all about me, that no one can say anything to my child, and also no one can tell me anything about how to raise and support them. But that desperation comes to the fore, case in point during COVID, where you had parents who were like, I don't know what to do with these babies who are home all day. And so I stepped in and filled the void and said, hey, tell me about the routine you have for your child. And the parents got bug-eyed and were like, routine? I was like, yes, you have to have a routine. They need structure. They need consistency. They crave that. It's the developmental need that they have. And so sharing that with them helped them move the needle in a productive way. So we just have to share those that wisdom and that knowledge as best we can.
All right.
Thank y'all for allowing me
Great
to
point. Great point, man. Appreciate see you in a couple weeks. See you in a couple weeks.
Definitely looking forward to it, man. Y'all be good.
All right. Dr. Charles Bowman, all the way from Atlanta, Georgia. So now that we got the educational part out the way, let's talk about some other stuff. Let's just,
you got that look on your face.
I mean, nah. It's July. There's nothing, sports is kind of in flux. There's baseball for those that watch baseball. I don't know what else is going on. Football's starting to heat up a little bit.
Track and field. Come on, you can't miss that.
Okay.
Carrie Richardson, she broke her own record, and then race later, somebody beat that. And from Jamaica, like the girls is just going. The women are going nuts.
And performance enhancer. I mean, I saw where she threw off her wig. Now, was that a performance enhancer that she took that heavy wig off and ran that race?
That was hilarious. She intimidated everybody. She got her that start block a little slow.
Right.
But I'm looking forward to. I love track and field.
Really? I watch it during the Olympics.
I think it's exciting. But I also think that there's some stuff going on with the transgender that's a little disturbing. Like, it's just not fair.
It's problematic. That's like, if Mike Tyson was a transgender, decided he wanted to.
I saw that video.
Right.
Yeah, that was just terrible. It's not equal playing ground.
No, it's
not saying
not.
You can't go and do your body.
Let's unpack that real quick. Let's talk about that real quick.
Oh, you just gonna come back in? Let's talk about that real quick.
Well,
okay.
Coltrane was a little sick, so I had to do a little cleaning real quick. I don't know what he ate, but it's out of him now. So anyway, I just had this conversation with my cousin recently, which is why I rushed back. So let's unpack. We're the people who choose who gets to go to a race, and it's our decision if they are male or female. Us three. So these are the factors that you have to use. You have to use estrogen levels, and you have to use testosterone levels. Just for this experiment, what do you think an acceptable estrogen level is for a woman?
I manage credit risk. I don't know. The hell.
Exactly my point. It's nobody's. You can't choose things like that because women have high testosterone. So when men have high estrogen sometimes. So you cannot use the two things that make the people who they are biologically. You can't use that as a gauge. What's her name? Samaya something. I can't remember her name. But they kept testing her because they kept saying that she was a boy. And she's a woman. They kept testing her thinking she had, and they said her levels of testosterone are higher than the average woman. And she lived as a woman. She was not a transgendered person. She was not trying to be a man. So when you say these things, there are factors that you have to think about. You can't just say, oh, well, he looked like a dude, so he should run with the dudes. Or she looked like
someone who has transitioned from one gender to another, there are obvious steps that they had to take to make that happen.
Right.
Now
hold on, Ebony. Hold on, Ebony.
There are some who at birth may have had some ambiguity about their gender, and that's a fact of nature. But those who have gone through that transition because of emotionally in their soul, they felt there was something else, doesn't change the biological makeup of their bodies. And I said this on Father's Day. I was not born with mammary apparatus in order to nourish a child. As a man, my baby, when she came into the world, I had nothing to give her because I wasn't given that apparatus by God. I'm a man, but I've got other
apparatus. It's just in a state of
you're delusional. You are delusional.
I gotta mute you for a second, Ebony.
You're bugging because I do not have paps. I do not have milk producing breasts. She said, I do. No, you don't. That weed is really getting to you.
So let me give y'all a little background about me. I used to work for an organization called Black Infant Health here in California. One of our duties was learning about lactation and learning how to teach our clients
men to breastfeed. Did you? No, I'm asking you a question because you were on it.
Allow me to get there, please, sir.
Tell me.
We had a lactation specialist come in. We had a board certified, she was a medical doctor lactation specialist. She came in and she told us that she has seen men produce milk for their children. It wasn't actual milk. It was like the colostrum. It was something, but it was able to be produced with the proper medication. It can be produced.
Ebony,
so don't say what you can do. You can do it.
Ebony, the point is you have to go through an entire process and take medication and go through this scientific boom, boom, boom in order to do it. It's not natural. That's the point. It's not natural.
Didn't give me that. He didn't give me that.
It's not natural. So hold on a second. Hold on a second. No, not for the sake of
testosterone.
Not for the state of the experiment.
I love
the experiment. Let's talk about what the reality is.
Okay, let's talk about it.
The reality is someone that is transitioning. Listen, we're talking about sports here.
Okay.
So I have a male boxer. I'm going to use Mike Tyson as the perfect example.
Okay.
Mike Tyson today decides that he wants to transition to a female. Fine, you can do that, but it's still Mike Tyson. Would it be okay for him to now fight Layla Ali? Remember, you got Mike Tyson, who is still Mike Tyson, but decides that he wants to transition to a woman. Is it okay for, now that he is Michelle Tyson, to fight Layla Ali? That's what we're talking about in sports.
Can I speak now?
Go ahead.
What's the gauge? What is the determination in him being classified as male or female? What is the gauge? Is it a visual gauge? Is it a biological gauge? What is the gauge? Because everything has a gauge.
The gauge is he made a decision based on what we do in this country right now that he now wants to be Michelle Tyson. Now he is a transition. He has transitioned to a woman. And he wants to be Michelle Tyson now. And he wants to fight other women. Is that okay? Knowing what we know about Michael Tyson, is it now okay for his transition self as Michelle Tyson to fight women?
The only issue I have is this: what is the weight class? Is he a heavyweight? Is she also a heavyweight? That's the gauge, right?
Is that really the gauge?
He can't fight anybody lower, right?
Is it
so?
What?
If he's classified, he's classified.
Ebony is saying that men in the male anatomy and the female anatomy must be synonymous. They must be equal. That the frame of a man, the ability to develop the physique of a man, is equal to that of a woman, and that under the same circumstances, two bodies at the same weight will produce the same results.
That's not at all what I'm saying.
Okay, that's what, but
that's what I heard.
So there is something different about the anatomy of the two bodies, not just the fact that they have a prostate and that there's more testosterone, but there are physical differences in the frame because they were built for two different reasons.
Sure.
And so if I want to identify as a cow, seems in this generation that is acceptable. But how do I prove I'm a cow is what you're asking.
Yeah, what's the gauge? What makes the determination for you to be what you say you want to be?
I mean, I have the same question because it seems like what we just said right now in this country, you can be anything that you want to be. It's the individual. What's that? What's that word? What's that word?
Individualism city is the word that you're looking for. And this
individualism.
isn't that though. But this
isn't that. It is that. I want to do what I want to do. I want to be what I want to be, and no one else can tell me any different. That's why everybody's hung up on pronouns of this, their, thy, then, they, he, she, it, whatever it is. I can be whatever I want to be. That's where we are in the culture right now. That's how it feels.
So let me ask you guys this, and this is a question for the audience as well. How long? And I'm talking in all of time. You can use the biblical, you can use the evolution, whatever calendar you'd like to use. How long do you think there have been people walking this planet who have wanted to be transitioned from male to female? Do you think this is a new phenomenon, or do you think this is something that has literally been happening since there were people? I'll wait.
Repeat that.
Do you think this is? Do you think this is new? Do you think this is like fad-ish? Do you think this is?
Let me tell you what it is. Let me tell you what it is.
Fly by night, or do you think this has always existed?
Let me tell you what it is. It has always existed. We knew people growing up that were transgendered, if you will. And guess what? But guess what? What they did in their private lives is what they did in their private lives. We didn't have to know about it. We didn't have to know about it. It seems that this generation is all about their coming out to whatever it is, that they have to make grand announcements about, look at me, daddy. It's all about the look at me. It's all about look at me, look at what I'm doing. This is and it's okay, but we don't need to know. I don't need to know.
One of the statistics says this. It says that since 1940s, that those who in our nation who have identified as something on the alphabet has doubled every 10 years.
And why do you think that is?
Well, let me finish the statistics so you see that it's not as alarming as you think. That say it was 0.1% or whatever it is in 1940, it's at 7%. 7% of our population identifies on that spectrum of LGBTQAL LMNOP. So the point is this, is that 7% of the population is dominating the culture because, again, dominating politically.
Are what? Question.
No. I'm gonna answer the question. I'll answer that one. Are they not dominating? They are the most powerful political operatives in the country. They control the narrative at such deep levels. Their parade.
Do you think that we would have such awful legislation against them if they had this political prowess that you're referring to them to be having?
Well, you live in California. I'm not
talking about California. California is cool because California doesn't care. As long as you pay your taxes and mind your business and drink your water, do what you got to do. But I'm talking about in all these little small, tiny towns all over the place where you're getting this legislation where you can't have drag shows. You can't do this. You can't do that. Who's talking about it? It's not them. It's people who don't want them to be around. So if they would stop talking about them, we would not hear anything about them. It's to alarm. It's to look over there. That's all this is. Because while we're looking over there, we're talking about we're losing our rights. We're involved in things that we don't need to be. We got a whole ex-president that's about to go to jail for damn espionage. They don't want us to look at that. So they want us to look at this silly madness.
I don't know what they're talking about because I'm not one of them. I'm not anti any of that.
Yes,
people do what they want to do.
No, we're not.
No, we're not.
No, we're not.
What did you just say, though? What did you just say?
If you didn't hear it, then you can't repeat it.
We hear about it all the time, but who's the ones talking about it? It's not gay people talking about their stuff. It's them talking about gay people.
It is gay people talking about their stuff. Eb, you're bugging. They are their biggest advocates. Don't even. You are in a la la land. These people.
They're trying to pretend like they're trying to strip people of literally their personhood because they want to love who they want to love.
It's you, it's me.
It's not me.
There's some groups. No, I said there's groups that are trying to take your rights away, trying to take my rights away, trying to take anybody's rights away. Right. They're no different. But for you to say that they're not talking about their issues, they're not the ones making their lifestyle a big point, that is la la land talk. They are experts. They are
you know, every once in a while, I forget who I'm talking to, and now
it's not. It's not about who you're talking to.
No. Because you guys are literally saying that gay people are running around hitting the drum, talking about "look at me because I'm gay," and not that white.
They're not, Ebony. They're not the parade.
And let me finish. And not that white Republican people are.
I'm not a white Republican.
Okay, but that's who you listen to. That's who's talking.
No, it's not who I listen to. It is not who I listen to.
Ebony, you got to
listen. You assume, the more ignorant you sound.
Hold on a second. Hold on.
No,
did not happen. Did not happen.
Hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second. Here's
did not happen.
Here's the deal, and this is how I look at it.
Because you keep muting me, and that's not fair.
Because you're over.
You keep muting me, and that's not fair.
Well, what's not fair? I was trying to get you to calm down for a second. I was trying to get you to calm down a second so you can hear what we're saying, and so you can hear what I'm saying without interrupting. Because I haven't interrupted you. No one's interrupted you. So let us get this out real quick. No one is saying that. Look. In the last 10 years, and maybe it's the internet, maybe it's just the internet, maybe it's just social media that does it. We see that the LGBTQIA community, because they're a community,
right?
They talk about themselves, they lobby for their rights, they lobby for who they want to be and how they want to be accepted. And here's the thing. Wait a second. Hold on a second. Here's the thing. When we do it as Black people, when we get together and say Black Lives Matter, we get the pushback. Well, it's about all lives. They don't get pushback when they're out there when they're having their whole. Hold on a second. I don't see the pushback that they get, that we get when we're trying to say Black Lives Matter, that our lives matter, that we need the government to do this, that, and the other for us. We need laws that are specific for Black people, but it won't happen. It will never happen. And so for me, I don't have anything against them. I'm just like, but y'all here, y'all already have the same rights we have. What is it? What more would you like? What more? Why do you have to be singled out? Because at the end of the day, the grand percentage of them are white men or white females. So you can rely on your privilege because they can see that you're white and you can rely on your privilege. Black gays probably have it worse than anyone because they're going to be looked at as Black first before anything else. They're going to be looked at as Black first.
Agreed.
I'm just saying that in this day and age, go ahead, Ebony. I'm just saying in this day and age that, I don't have any ill will towards them, but back on topic, I think it'll be absolutely unfair of Mike Tyson deciding to transition to a woman, a female, and then deciding to fight other females. Because no matter how you look at it, Michelle Tyson still has the skill set of Michael Tyson. We were talking about sports. I'm bringing it back to sports.
Right. But do you think it's fair if a welterweight fought a heavyweight?
It would be unfair because the skill level is different. Forget it. Let's say Floyd Money Mayweather decided to become Florida. Mm-hmm. Floyd is a lightweight. Okay. Layla Hathaway probably outweighs him by 60 pounds.
Layla Ali.
Layla Hathaway weighed a little more than 60, but go ahead.
You know what? You cold blooded.
4 or 5 more. This is 44 or 5 more.
So Floyd weighs in at 151. Layla probably weighs in at about 190. Layla Ali weighs in at 190. I still think that the Floyd Mayweather skill set is different from Layla's skill set, and it would be an unfair match that he would still beat the mess out of Layla Ali. It's just a different skill set. It's a different muscle set. It's a different everything. All things considered, it would be unfair for Florida Mayweather to fight a female.
But I keep asking y'all what the gauge is. So now the gauge is the skill set.
The gauge is the history.
Would apply, but when you say if we're using the skill set as a gauge, that would apply to anyone, anywhere, anytime.
That's not my answer.
That's my answer. That's
not my answer.
Go ahead, Hassel.
It's gender. It's about the physical and anatomical structure of a man's body as opposed to a woman's body. Okay. If you were to put a baby in my body, it's not built to birth one or to nurture it or to incubate it. I'm not built for it. You got to go and make a whole bunch of changes for me to even look like I'm capable of it. I cannot birth a baby. There's no way. It's not going to happen in my body. That my hips are not built for it. They will not adjust to hold those things. My organs are not going to do it. It's just, I'm a man. I would be a horrible version of a woman after you finish mutilating my body. But I'm built to do what men do. And the size of my fists, the amount of muscle mass that is in my arms, it's different than a woman. My chin, you could tell a man from a woman, even in his in his larynx. And this, Jerry's trying to come in or whatever. But there are differences anatomically between the physique of a man and the physique of a woman. It is undeniable for generations. Now, if I decide I want to identify as a woman, of course, it's all fun and games until I now want to compete with someone who was not built like I was built. That's not fair. Like, you can be that, but you can't compete at that level.
I mean, look at the MMA fighters right now. There's an MMA fighter that transitioned to a woman, and now she is fighting as a woman. Used to be a man, now fighting as a woman. And they're up in arms because they're like, wait a second, this person is built differently from these women, even though they identify as a woman.
I'll be all over the place.
I mean, no, we're talking about the same thing.
No. Well, let me ask you this. Brittany Griner, you think she could beat LeBron one-on-one?
It would be conjecture.
LeBron would let her win.
We talking physicality, we talking skill, we talking all these things, remember? So do you think
absolutely not? Ebony, what do you think? I
think it would be close.
Hell no. You smoking the crap. You smoking. You know what?
I think it would be very close.
So now in other news, she's smoking.
I think it would be very close. But this is on y'all's scale.
I said it would be conjecture.
You're talking skill set. So we can talk conjecture with everything then, if that's the case.
No, I'm saying it. Your conjecture.
That's why I said y'all be all over the
place. If I would guess,
all over the place.
If I would guess that LeBron would beat Brittany Griner, that would be my guess.
Okay.
Now, Ethan said no way would LeBron beat Griner.
How do you know though? Because
we know. Okay, nigga, we know. Right. Nigga, we know. Okay, you gonna
because remember back in the 70s when it was like tennis was the hot thing, right? Remember they did the matches with Billie Jean King and Arthur Ashe. Remember those? It's skill set. Remember, it's skill set. It's physicality.
First of all,
that's why I said y'all be all over the place.
First of all,
what's the game?
Don't say it, Dante. Don't say it.
Say it. You grown, say
it. Look. First of all, Billie Jean King never played Arthur Ashe.
Whoever the match was, it was a man and a woman. Whoever it was, I don't remember.
I'm just telling you right now. She never played Arthur Ashe. She played some clown named Billy Riggs, who was ranked number 1 back in 1973. But Billy Riggs never beat Arthur Ashe. Okay, and so now let's offer that really quick. As a matter of fact, I'm switching topics right now. Because this is just
because y'all are all let's do this, and we don't even have to do this as a podcast. We can just have a conversation. Let's figure out the gauge, and then we can go from there.
I don't want to. I don't need it.
It's natural gender. That's the answer to the gauge. Do you have testicles? Do you have a penis?
So that makes you a better player?
No, it makes you a man or a woman. You play a sport or something like that based on your gender, a gender-based sport. You play it with those who are of your natural gender. That whole switch thing, you can switch to play around in the parking lot or whatever, but not in professional sports. That should be the gauge so that nobody gets hurt.
We definitely don't want anybody to get hurt. And those MMA fighters are getting hurt right now. They're getting hurt right now. Kids,
that man is empowering those women. As a transgender female, or I forget how to say it. It's trans. So he's a transgender female.
I don't know how to say it. I get confused.
Yeah, I think that's how you say it. And he is she is destroying that whole sport because he is built different.
I know. All right. So next thing.
All right.
Next thing. I mean, listen. You know, it is what it is. Everybody has their opinion on it, and so we respect your opinion. Yeah, I hope you respect ours. You know that's all. You know, and it is what it is. All right. So next thing, real quick, and then I'm gonna get out of here. We're gonna get out of here. I'm gonna say this out loud. I have no say in what somebody wears and what they don't wear when they're out in public. I don't care about what Kiki had on, what she didn't have on, and what she did and what she didn't do. But her boyfriend, I think he was a lot out of pocket saying what he said about her in public. I think he should have kept that to himself and waited until she got home and had the conversation with her.
He got her phone number.
And I think she might be single soon. I think so
too. They got a baby together, right?
Yeah, they got a baby together.
Fresh baby. That baby fresh. He still got his placenta perm. That baby is fresh.
And she said, the key word was, ain't no ring on it, so I'm single. And so, his Twitter rant was his only shot at saying something powerful, and when you're in a relationship with someone that's successful and wonderful and wealthy, and they decide they want to be free, there's nothing you can do about it.
And Kiki had a glow up when that baby left her with the best parts. Let me tell you, that's how you do it.
My daughter, they were like, it's Usher, that's Usher. He was ushering, and she got caught up.
But also, y'all, Usher been talking about this since the 90s. So
wait a second. You heard what he said. He talked about Usher got caught up. That was clever. It was clever. It was clever.
The 90s.
Listen,
like he's brand new to this.
All I know is, bruh, you should have just shut up while you were behind. All right. Was it a joke that went too far?
If you didn't make her, if you didn't marry her, I don't think so. I mean, because you've been dating. If you're in a dating relationship and it's exclusive, you do have the right to expect some levels of respect, and not only in what they dress, how they
private and not on the internet.
Now that this whole social media thing, we didn't have this when I was dating.
Nah.
We barely had beepers. Like we had to put codes in the beeper so you know.
Did you
I'm
see
just
her
saying
tell
it's
us?
what it was, to tell you where I was, so I didn't have to call you. If I beep you and then I say it's a 6, meet me at McDonald's, that kind of thing. This social media thing is hyper connected, just so much information, and it's instant, and thousands of people can see what you thought before you have a moment to delete it. Like after you second thought it, they be like, I already saw it. They already retweeted it, and you can't get it back. This thing is crazy.
Yeah, it is, and now that we're all on spilling thread, we definitely can't get rid of it. Could you imagine social media? I mean, could you imagine social media back in the 90s?
No,
I'm glad they didn't have it.
Awful. Because impulse control was also not a thing in the 90s. Nobody had it.
No, I'm glad we didn't have it. Listen, Crack Alley was in full effect. Imagine social media with crack going crazy.
Think about how crazy the people are going that they're thinking about doing a Freaknik documentary from 1993 in 2023, and they're like, wait a second, why would y'all do this to us? They're like, what is going on? Why would y'all do this?
Somebody gonna see that grandmama on there shaking their ass on somebody's roof of the car. It ain't gonna be none of my kids, but somebody gonna see that.
Yeah, it's gonna be wild. So they can't have no social media back then. So listen,
Dante, weren't you in Atlanta for Freaknik? Weren't you down there? 90.
What year did you go, Hassel? What year was you in Atlanta for Freaknik, Hassel?
I've never been to Atlanta. My first time in Atlanta was this year.
You poor thing. You missed a lot. The 90s was popping in Atlanta.
No, I was in DC. It was just as bad.
The 90s was popping in Atlanta. That's all I'm gonna say.
90s and look, you see look, Damon talking about no comment. Let's see, 93 and 90, no, 94 and 96. 94 and 96. 94 and 96. My brother was there. Andre was there. Yeah, I was living in Atlanta then. Well, 93 and 96. Yeah, I was living in Atlanta.
So there's possible video of you somewhere with a
no, you didn't have a church. So let me tell you the truth. The truth of the matter is, even if you weren't trying to be involved in it, if you worked downtown, you got caught up in the traffic of it. I mean, that's just, it wasn't like it was just a takeover of downtown Atlanta. That's all that it was, So, I can't wait to see the film. I hear it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, Jerry. We already know, Jerry.
You see what Vincent said?
No comment. We already know about Freaknik, and y'all. It's video. What I say, in a flat top with a part in the middle, with a couple of clips in your eyebrow, and a paisley polo shirt, and some huge shorts. Yeah, I'm sure.
Listen,
we don't stand you.
I mean, what's funny is, Jerry's been in Atlanta the last couple of weeks. I'm like, Jerry, why you keep going to Atlanta every 2 weeks for these teaching conferences? He's going from Oklahoma to Atlanta. He just love it down there. I'm like, you missed the 90s, dog. You missed the 90s.
No, he going down there trying to recover tapes like Infinity Stones. That's what he
he gonna collect all the stones for the Kappas and snap their fingers.
He's trying to get all the tapes. Like Infinity Stones, so he can go put them somewhere. I get it, Jerry. I'm on your side. I hope you find them. He's
gonna snap it. Well, cool. Well, listen, we had a good night tonight. We talked about various topics. Some of them hot, some of them cold, some of them, some of them we're very emotional. Right, some of them we're very emotional about. It is what it is. But that's what we do here. We have these conversations and we have them out loud. We still all, it's all conversation. But that's what we need to do. It's about the community.
And let me tell you this for everybody asking questions. My thing is simply this.
Stop.
Nothing comes before your personhood. Period.
Stop.
Do whatever you want, but nothing is more than your personhood.
Okay, we can live with that. But listen, had to make sure no kids are there. Are these your kids? Or what's going on, Jerry? I mean, you need to expound on that thought. Had to make sure no kids are there. Are these the kids that go to your school, Are these kids that you dropped off in the 90s now are 30 years old? What's going on?
Oh, he's telling y'all business. Oh, you know what? We didn't talk about my ancestry results.
What'd you find out?
I got mine here too.
I got way more Caucasian in me than I would like to have. That's all.
How much? I got like 13%.
I wish.
Scottish and Jewish. And,
you know what the surprise was?
Kazakhstan.
1% Filipino.
I got a little bit of that Samoan. It's crazy. Like, how did that happen?
Filipino. That's all I'm gonna cop to. I'm not gonna cop to all that Caucasian because it's a lot.
It's the voice that comes out in the voice. Anyway,
I can see the Filipino right now.
You know what? And
one of my best friends from high school is Filipino. So when I got my results, I texted her and I said, "So I guess we're cousins." And she goes, "It explains your love of all my lumpia and rice." I said, "You know what? You might be onto something there because it's true."
Yeah, my daughter did a missions trip to Philippines. She would live there. She loved it.
I heard it's dope.
Manila, yeah, she loved it.
I heard it's dope. All right, we're getting out of here. Y'all have a good night. We appreciate y'all hanging out with us. Thank you, Hassan. Thank you, Ebony.
Get out of here and I'll tell you what you do.
Oh God, we're getting out of here. We'll talk to y'all later. Let me end this right now.